You're watching ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Geico. Here in the Treasure Valley, Boise, Idaho, a Chamber of Commerce evening. 7-3 as we begin our second half. Number 24, Boise State, the 4-point advantage. Alex Cordry, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, and Utah State will receive the football to begin this third quarter. Both teams passing for 105 yards in the first half. The defense is really setting the tone so far in this one, and Brian Harsin very pleased with his team's stand there at the end of the second quarter. And for Matt Wells, he's got to find a way to get that offense at least clicking on one cylinder. First and 10 for the Aggies at the 25. So everybody take a deep breath if you're just tuning in, watching over on ABC. A nail biter here, ESPN2, Boise State 7-3. You see the storylines. You got a wide receiver that's thrown for more yards than the starting quarterback.
Well, I was going to say 105 yards on each side throwing the ball, but who would have ever thought Cedric Wilson would have more passing yards than Brett Rippon? Not I. But Cedric Wilson had a real nice double pass over the heads of the Utah State defense to Jeremy McNichols for the score. And, you know, that was the first time they had actually gotten into plus territory, and they went right by it and scored.
How does Utah State muster some more offense here? Is it with Myers in the short passing game, or do they finally take a shot deep?
Well, they haven't found Tarver tonight, and they need to.
The option. They'll fake the pitch. There's Myers. Into Boise State territory, and finally driven out of bounds by Chancellor James. And what a start for the Aggies, a gain of 45.
Well, and you know what? Brian Harsin told us about Kent Myers yesterday. He said what scares him is that Myers he has the ability to escape and extend plays, and he can run and pass right there. Great speed.
Lindsey in the backfield on first down and movement up front. And the false start will back him up 5.
Offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Well, and Roy, without Devontae Mays, the running back of Utah State, the leading rusher coming into tonight's game, Kent Myers, there's more to shoulder of this offense. I mean, he not only has to pass the ball effectively, he has to run it. I love the option look, though. That was one Matt Wells dialed up at halftime and said, hey, listen, get it to the edge. You're probably going to have to pitch it. He didn't.
Wells calls the plays for the Aggies. They roll the pocket. Pass incomplete. Rodriguez with a drop. James in the area in coverage.
Yeah, just a great play by Chancellor James laying out, and it really distracted the receiver. He just flat out dropped it. There's a look at Wells on the sideline calling him up. Take a look. Chancellor James knows his responsibility was the far flat, and he laid out and made the play. Great effort.
And Myers spins his way across the 45. Brought down by Weaver. There appeared to be some confusion in the backfield on what should have been a zone read play with no running back there.
Yeah, and where there was no confusion was on the edge with that Boise State defense. They held the edge well. Did a great job. There's a look at Devontae Mays.
Well, he was in pain on the turf last week in that loss to Air Force.
Yeah. Yeah, when a player doesn't suit up for the game, yeah, it's probably hurt more than we all know.
Officially listed as day-to-day. On third down, Myers flushed and dropped behind the line. Jabril Frazier. Boy, a freak of an athlete, and he got to the quarterback that time, Tom.
Boy, Jabril Frazier. Here's the one that got away. He went to Bourbon Day in Los Angeles. UCLA, SC, plays right under their nose. Did they recruit him? No. Somehow Boise State gets Jabril Frazier, and he is a stud coming off the edge. He's a second leading sack master behind David Moa, but between those two, man, they are bringing the heat.
A loss of 6. Dalton's been the MVP for Utah State tonight, the punter. And Butler this time corrals it at the 15 after a punt of just 26 yards. Well, I'm no Mel Kiper Jr., but Frazier has a big-time ceiling when you look at the measurables and then a play like that.
Yeah. We watched film on him. We saw him in person, and he's a guy, they say he passes the eyeball test. He sure does. And when he has great motor, Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, couldn't say enough good things about him. And, they're keeping it simple on their defense, too, right, Roy? They really haven't expanded that defensive strategy to where guys start to kind of freelance a little bit. And you can with a guy like Jabril Frazier. You can line him up at different places on the field.
Butler in motion. Handoff McNichols. And a physical run up to the 24-yard line. Bring up second down and short. Centers with the hit.
Well, and you said it. It's a physical run. They went in at halftime. Boise State said, what do we got to do? We got to get more physical at the line of scrimmage. We got to run the ball effectively. They didn't run the ball that well in the first half. They didn't throw the ball that well in the first half. They relied on a trick play to get themselves 7 points. And it's all about the adjustments made at halftime.
Naden's in motion. McNichols trying to get to the edge. First down Boise State and ushered out of bounds by Daniel Gray.
Daniel Gray's played well tonight. He's been involved in a lot of plays. Jalen Davis, the other corner, has been really well. Really good playing as well. And then Wes Bailey, the nickelback, has played well. So they've had 3 corners, and they're playing, of course, without Dallin Levitt, the safety that was injured in last week's game as well.
Ryan Harsin coming off a 9-4 season. Expectations much higher this year, as they always are, it seems like. And a 3-0 start for the offense clicking before tonight. Up to the 35-yard line is Devin Demas. Demas fumbled in the game last year against Utah State. And McNichols may have been banged up on that last carry as he was shoved out of bounds. Still being tended to on the sideline.
Yeah, he got hammered out of bounds. Devin Demas, the fifth-year senior out of Houston, stepping in.
Tommy fumbled last year in that loss to Utah State and really never played after that game. After that fumble. Get the call again and dives forward. Probably the fastest player on the Boise State roster, but just has yet to find that rhythm the last year and a half or so.
Well, and the other back we may see Alexander Madison, true freshman out of San Bernardino, California. Just looking at Alexander Madison at practice yesterday, I mean, wow, he's another specimen and just a young buck.
Nichols still on the sideline, still being tended to. On first down, ripping with all kinds of time. And caught. Spurback got a hand on it, tapped it back to himself. Gray again in coverage. And the drive continues for the Broncos after a gain of 21.
Spurback knows Sports Center's coming up later after our game. Look at this. Just go ahead and reel it in one-handed.
First team all Mountain West Conference. And straight ahead, a gain of 1 on first down. Well, Spurback, he doesn't blow you away with his speed, but he's got great hands, acrobatic in the air, and he can throw it, he can run it, he can do all kinds of things, even as a Wildcat quarterback.
Son of a coach.
Yes.
He knows every position on the field. I mean, there's not even a, what doesn't he know about football? 3 receptions tonight, 45 yards. He comes in as one of the top pass catchers in Boise State history.
I love what Brian Harsin told us this week.
First
No
charge,
fear
timeout.
in Thomas
Utah
Spurback.
State, timeout on the field.
Aggies call the timeout as we step aside. Boise State driving once again. Start of the third quarter. The 4-point advantage. Well, Monday Night Football, it is week number 4, an NFC battle. The undefeated Vikings and the New York Football Giants at the new U.S. Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis, 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coverage beginning Monday with Monday Night Countdown served up by Applebee's, 6 o'clock Eastern. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry, great to have you on hand tonight. McNichols back in the game, the swing pass. And it'll be first and goal for Boise State. So apparently the injury not too severe. He's back in there, Tom.
Not too severe, and then you just see his explosiveness on the edge. They flip the ball out to him real quick, designed kind of an outside screen, and then we've seen how fast McNichols is. He just scoots down the sidelines for another first.
Counted for 26 touchdowns last year. Can run it, can catch it. A versatile weapon. He already has 1 touchdown through the air tonight. And drop behind the line, Brock Carman.
And you know what I found most amazing at the beginning of this year, Roy? He wasn't even on the preseason Mountain West team as a running back. Remember the great running backs in this conference. Donnell Pumphrey at San Diego State, he averages almost 200 yards a game. They got throttled at South Alabama today. And then you have Brian Hill at Wyoming, who's another. I love that guy. He's a great back that no one knows about. Guaranteed the NFL guys know about it.
No question about it. Kind of reminds you of a Doug Martin. A low center of gravity, physical runner. Empty backfield, a shovel pass. And the tight end Jake Rowe back from injury, brought down by Huerta.
Trying to get Jake Rowe untracked. He was out with an injury earlier this year, just starting to get back in the mix. He played against Oregon State last week. They tried to get him that same ball, that little shovel pass in for a touchdown, and he had such a tremendous year a year ago, making the All-Mountain West team.
Boise State has essentially been borderline perfect. One time they haven't scored in the red zone. The game ended last week at Oregon State. Here's the pass to Spurbeck. Touchdown. A beautifully thrown ball by Brett Rippon to the trusted hands of Thomas Spurbeck.
Rippon places the ball in that back corner, and he knows exactly where his man's going to be. Running a corner route to the back flag. It looks like a simple throw and catch. That's hours and hours of timing and hard work and sweat those guys have put in. It's a long summer. Converting to a touchdown and the point after.
Our new score, 8:07 remaining in the third quarter, 14-3. Thomas Spurbeck, 4 catches, 50 yards, and his first touchdown of the night right here. Broncos on top.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA, and Verizon. Join a better network, because better matters.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have any other shades of blue other than Boise State blue?
Are there any other shades of blue besides Boise State blue? Because I have lots of Boise State blue.
I guess I'll take Boise State blue then.
And a special thanks to Jason and our friends at Ronapain here in Boise for their blue expertise. Broncos lead at 14-3 back here inside of Albertson Stadium. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Alex Cordry.
I think they meant to say, do you have Smurf blue paint? The Smurf turf.
Now celebrating the 30th year of the blue turf here in Boise. And for more on the 30th anniversary of the famous blue turf, Alex.
Thanks, Roy. Yeah, it was installed in 1986, and the blue turf has been a Boise State tradition for the last 30 years. And the famous Smurf turf is trademarked, meaning anyone who wants to install another colored turf has to ask permission from the university. Guys, seeing it for the first time in person, I was in awe. How's the blue turf looking from up there in the press box?
It's my first trip here to Boise, Alex. And so it's eye-popping the first time you see it in person. But it looks quite nice up here. Here's a deep pass to Lewis in traffic, makes the grab. Rayshad Lewis, the son of the great Ray Lewis. And a gain of 38 yards, in Utah State starting to find some rhythm offensively, Tom.
Yep, 50-50 ball. Lewis comes down with it.
And looking for Tarver on the tunnel screen. False start will push him back 5 yards.
False start, offense. Not all 11 players were set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. first down.
And Roy, I still think they need to get the ball to Ronquavian Tarver, who had 9 catches last week, 143 yards. He has 0 tonight. But Lewis, Rashad Lewis, went up. The ball comes out quick. Brett, well, Kent Myers does not mess around. He gets the ball down the field, and then Lewis over the top of Hartsfield for the catch.
Trips at the top of the screen. And the screen to Lewis. That's a good drop right there, Tom. Otherwise, he's going to lose 5 yards on that play.
Yeah, they had Tarver, the big receiver, out in front of him blocking, and just off the hands of the 5'10 Lewis. Ball was a little high. Kent Myers has been pretty accurate tonight, though.
Halfway through the 3rd quarter here in Boise, in front of the 4th largest crowd in Albertson Stadium history. Lindsey goes nowhere. Stuffed at the line. Darren Lee. And the strip sack touchdown a week ago in the win at Oregon State, and a big hit there.
Yeah, Darren Lee is another one of those senior linebackers. Just, knows where to line up, knows where to hit the gap. They're well coached, they're disciplined, and they're fast. And right now, Utah State might be in 2-down. Well, they might be in 2-down territory to get this first down. 3rd and 15.
Myers floats it out of bounds. That's a coverage sack. Outstanding work in the back end of that Boise State defense.
Yeah. Well, not a sack. Throwing it out of bounds, doing the right thing. Kent Myers, that's an experienced quarterback there. Tyler Horton, number 14, great coverage. And, when you go into the sideline, everything condenses, and Myers just ran out of room. So they're going to bring out Aaron Dalton again, who's had a fine night punting. He was averaging 50 yards in the first half.
He's been your guy so far today.
When I'm talking about the punter, it's probably too much.
Butler muffed a punt in the 2nd quarter. Fair catch made it to 16. 1st and 10 for the Broncos coming up after a 25-yard punt. Undefeated Boise State, an 11-point lead here on the blue turf. Well, week number 4 in the NFL is here. And make sure you start it with us here on ESPN. 14-3 our score. Boise State with the lead here in Boise. 10 a.m. Eastern, NFL Insider Sunday edition. Update you on all the injury news and early breaking stories. Coming up at 11 tomorrow Eastern, the new Sunday NFL Countdown. Both shows streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Randy Moss, Matt Hasselbeck, and crew. Be a lot of fun with Boone. Back down to live action, wide open. Rippon delivers his strike. Chaz Anderson far sideline. And shoved out of bounds near the 45. Anthony Williams the hit after a gain of 29 yards, Tom.
Rippon tonight, 12 of 19. He comes off late. It's an outlet. Chaz Anderson standing on the sideline, and he does the right thing. He scoots up the field, gains a lot of yards and a first down.
McNichols back in the contest. And for an injury update, we check in with Alex once again. Alex.
Thanks, Roy. Yeah, something to keep an eye on down here. So Jeremy McNichols was getting his right shoulder looked at by trainers. They were massaging his shoulder. His teammates were coming over to check on him. And then just before they went back out here on the field, McNichols started to throw up in a trash can. But guys, talk about a tough player. He put his helmet on and went out there and joined his teammates.
5'9", 207, a junior, and he is ready to roar tonight after missing the Utah State game last year with a concussion. How about that, Tom? You want to talk about toughness? And Rippon's going to be sacked. Way back behind the 40-yard line, Jontrell Rockamore. And a big loss of yards.
Rockamore coming out of the defensive backfield. That time, Utah State dialing up blitz. He comes off the edge and he gets around McNichols and just stays after it. Travis Seafelt also there from his nose tackle position.
It's a loss of 9 yards. On third down. Rippon pressured. And a dangerous pass. Huerta was in the area. And a nice stop by the Utah State defense. They needed one.
Well, you know, Roy, Matt Wells said it to Alex when he came out for the second half. Utah State's been winning on third down. And right there again, blasting Rippon. You know, they're getting him off his mark, and that's what they wanted to do. Coming in, the defensive game plan, get Rippon off his mark, get him unsettled back in that pocket. And I thought the blitz on second down was a great call by Kendrick Shaver, the D coordinator.
It's Jits Painter, the third-team cornerback, applying the pressure in that last sequence. High snap corralled by Whale. And Rodriguez makes the fair catch at the 12. It's a punt of 49 yards. It'll be 1st and 10 for Utah State, trailing by 11 here in the Mountain West Conference. Utah State football, their 12-yard line back in Boise, under 5 to play in the third quarter. Alex Cordry, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Geico. It's great to have you on board tonight. A top 10 throwdown weekend, Tom Ramsey. The last top 10 matchup completing just moments ago. Clemson holding on for dear life, 42-36. Your reaction to that one, and then the other two top 10 matchups we saw.
Well, I think Deshaun Watson played fantastic. As good as Lamar Jackson is, Clemson's awfully good at home, and there's a reason why they have an unbeaten streak there.
19 in a row.
19 in a row. That's a lot of games, and you know, the other games have been spectacular as well. Washington knocking off Stanford, who's been, you know, at the top of the Pac-12, and they just dismantled them. And then there was a lot of defense in that Michigan-Wisconsin game. And, you know, I think Wisconsin is so well coached. And Michigan, I don't want to say it was a put up or shut up for Michigan, but, you know, home field, you better play well in front of that many people.
Batted down at the line. And it'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Oh, and Lua got his big mitts on it.
And I think, you know, the game plan, that's their 3rd batted ball by the defensive line tonight. You know, they knew coming in, hey, listen, Kent Myers is not a big guy, 5'11". Get your hands up. Knock the ball down.
Big play for Kent Myers in Utah State.
And 1 of 11 so far tonight on 3rd down.
Myers. Dangerous pass and nearly picked off. Well, Jonathan Moxey read the quarterback's eyes from the get-go. Myers tried to thread the needle, and he got away with one there, Tom.
Well, they've won 3rd down on defense tonight. A lot of times, Roy, they have lost the 3rd down battle when they've been on offense, and Moxey almost took that one to the house. You see him break on the ball. Great eyes that time by Moxey, the veteran cornerback, and what a dangerous throw into the short sideline by Myers. They got away with one there.
Joey Butler on the field.
4 straight incompletions for Kent Myers. Here's Aaron Dalton. Has a cannon for a leg this evening. Butler. We'll watch it bounce out of bounds. Be 1st and 10 for the Broncos. Another 50-yard boot. So Clemson beats Louisville. I guess they move up in the rankings. We'll find that out here in the next 24 to 36 hours. Who else maybe impressed you set to make a big jump?
Well, Oklahoma State played awfully well today.
Yeah, Texas has gone south in a hurry, haven't they?
Yeah, Tennessee, Joshua Dobbs. I had people tell me, though, that how good Tennessee has been. They've seen him play, and they thought Georgia may stumble at home. Now, I had Georgia week 1, and Nick Chubb was the show, but Nick Chubb was out this game, and that's why Tennessee took one away from him.
Important game here tonight in the Mountain West Conference, the Mountain Division. Utah State has already lost to Air Force. That was at home last week. Boise State, this is their conference opener. They've won 16 in a row when it comes to conference openers. They want to get off to a fast start. 9-4 last year.
And Roy, I even think this game has added importance because if Boise State continues to win, coupled with a San Diego State loss today, Boise State has to get to that Mountain West championship at the end, but they play Air Force at the end of November 1st.
Nichols churning his legs. Another physical run. It'll be short on the first down. 3rd and 3 coming up.
And the reason why there's so much importance on this game, Utah State is, they're good. They're not as good as they were last year, but they're still really good. And I've been impressed with the defense tonight, even though they lost 2 guys drafted into the 3rd round in the NFL. Kyler Fackrell went to the Packers. Nick Vigil went to the Bengals. I mean, those guys were responsible for about 200 tackles last year.
And 25 in this game alone. Flush from the pocket, Rippon sends it to the feet of McNichols. 4th down. Utah State's defense has been tremendous.
Well, you know, Brian Harsin, he's kind of in disbelief. And you know, it's interesting. I had a couple words with Brett Rippon before the game, and I said, hey, man, you're spinning it well. You look really good. He goes, yeah, thanks. He goes, you know, I'm not a freshman anymore. And I said, yeah, that you've turned that page. You know, experience is the key at quarterbacking, but Utah State has made him uncomfortable tonight. They've really put a lot of pressure on him, forced him to move out of the pocket and change his launch spot.
Well, the Mountain West Conference player of the week when it comes to special teams. Another strong punt of 51 yards, a fair catch by Rodriguez.
And if there was a mistake there by Rodriguez, you'd like that to go into the end zone. But this Utah State defense has been spectacular tonight. You see where the cornerback, Jalen Davis, holding the edge. Then they get up, they get around the ball. They've had hats on the ball all night long. They have found it. They've made plays. And more importantly, they just have kept the pressure on Brett Rippon.
All with that, one of their top safeties, Dallin Levitt. Poor field position, though, again for Kent Myers. Lawan Hunt, and the junior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, gains 2 yards, brought down by Sam McCaskill. Time winding down to the 3rd quarter. Kent Myers 12-6 as a starting quarterback for Utah State. Tommy was the MVP 2014 Gildan, New Mexico Bowl on the offensive side. Tried to redshirt him twice due to injuries to Chucky Keaton. And his time is right now. Hunt crosses the 10. Weaver the hit. 3rd down upcoming.
They've been stout up front. They keep really trying to make it interesting on that offensive line of Utah State. But like you said, Kent Myers just a moment ago, Roy, you know, Matt Wells said something interesting to us the other day. He said, you know, Matt Wells, he played the meat of the schedule 2 years ago. Like, he's played a lot of ball. And, you know, again, they just haven't been good on 3rd down tonight. 1 of 12.
Empty backfield. Underneath pattern. And it goes nowhere. Gain of 2. DeAndre Pierce. Just a freshman from Long Beach. And a big hit.
It's hard to win games when you cannot get untracked on 3rd down. But that's just a really nice play by DeAndre Pierce that time. Long Beach Poly kid. I mean, that's great reaction. Just great, you know, getting to the ball.
Rayshad Lewis bottled up.
Well, they're ready to receive.
And Dalton with the punt. That could be personal foul, the worst kind, a 52-yard boot. And Butler nearly had his head taken off by Anthony Williams. And this play may be reviewed as well, Tom.
I believe so, and it could fall into the category of targeting, Roy, because it seems to be on everyone's high up on the priority list for all games, all referee crews, and this one I'm sure is going to be made the judgment on the field of play. You just cannot go high on any players. You just can't go up into the chest, neck, head area, and Williams didn't time it well.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team, number 16, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's first down, Boise State.
The one thing good that Williams did not do, he didn't lead with his helmet, but he did use his arm up high, and that's why the flag came out. Plus, he hit it before he had a chance to catch it, and that's really what the call was.
Well, you're looking for forcible contact there against the ball carrier. In that situation, the receiver of the punt. Forcible contact, head or neck area, as you indicated, came across with his forearm there initially and then kind of held off maybe at the last second.
Well, and more importantly, he had to allow him a chance to catch the ball.
Now, of course, the replay
Previous
booth
play is under review.
can take a look at this as well to determine if a targeting penalty occurred. The original term to begin this season was egregious. If they see something that appears to be egregious or now obvious, they can take a look at it, which they're doing right now. And our replay official tonight, Jeff Hansen.
Yeah, he got there before the ball got to Achillian Butler, but then it was it was kind of the timing of the hit and the ferociousness of it.
Rule 9-1-4, my friend, concerning defenseless players. An opponent may not use forcible contact to the head or neck area of that player using a forearm, shoulder, or helmet. So while initially that may not be considered targeting, when you consider the actual rule, the forearm is a part of that rule. Indeed, it could be a disqualification. So we will see. Now Jeff Hansen in our Mountain West replay booth decides on this sequence.
You know, there was an emphasis about 5 years ago, Roy, where someone that was catching a punt, you had to give them a radius of 3 yards in any direction, and they've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. But when the referees are on the headsets this long, expect something more to happen here.
This should be targeting with an ejection based off what we're seeing with that replay and the actual rule itself.
Yeah, you got the rule.
And this would be a big loss as well. Anthony Williams, next matchup coming up for the Aggies at Colorado State. The ejection would warrant, obviously he's done for this game and also the first half of the next game.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah, they're not light penalties, and, you know, and the coaches they're coaching it daily in practice. The referees are on top of it. They talk to the coaching staff every week prior to the game. The players are fully aware of the rules.
Williams, the leading tackler last week in the loss against Air Force, a career high 11 stops.
Yeah, he's an active guy.
And here's the call.
After reviewing the play, it's been determined there was a foul for targeting by number 16 of the kicking team. Number 16 disqualified by rule.
And Williams frustrated.
Well, he's got to remove himself from the field of play. That's just standard procedure, and that is the accurate and proper call in that instance. You're right on it, partner. And you know, it doesn't have to be the crown of the helmet. It can be different body parts, but you cannot hit that defenseless player.
We think this game doesn't mean something to these players. Williams, an emotional leader, an emerging player for the Aggies defense. We saw what happened last year in Logan. Boise State trying to exact revenge tonight, and so far doing just that. Two division rivals getting after each other in a hard-fought game.
Well, and that provides the start of the drive to be on the +40 for Boise State. their best field possession tonight.
So after all of that, Rowe in motion on first down. McNichols straight ahead. And driven to the turf by Travis Seafelt. McNichols very methodical tonight on this blue turf, at least on the ground. Through the air, he's been much more dangerous.
And Roy, I would not be surprised here if Brett Rippon, well, they'll let the clock run out, get to the fourth quarter. But I was going to say, now's a nice time to take a shot deep, and maybe Cedric Wilson might see a ball come his way.
It's the end of the third quarter. Timeout on the field.
14-3.
Boise State Broncos trying to improve to 4-0 in this young season, ranked number 24, in control of their destiny in their conference opener. Fourth quarter coming up next.